Hello everyone and welcome to this week's sports podcast. Now this week's sports podcast has been recorded a little bit earlier. It's Thursday, late Thursday evening, the 15th of July. I've got quite a few appointments tomorrow, so I'm doing a little bit earlier than normal, but we've got plenty to get through anyway, so without further ado, there's only really one place we could start, and that is the obviously the final of the European Championship on Sunday at Wembley. We didn't get the result as an England fan, obviously we didn't get the result that we wanted. We didn't perhaps perform to the level we would have expected the team. Maybe it was a bit of stage fright, I don't know. But at the end of the day, Italy, despite some of the histrionics they pulled during the game, including the ridiculous challenge by Chiellini on Saka, and also Jorginho in extra time on Jack Grealish, looking up to get a red. Both of them could have been red, I suppose, technically, but I think the rules are that something like Chiellini's tackle, it's classed as a cynical foul, it's an automatic yellow, you can't send them off for it. Maybe Jorginho was saved a little bit by the fact that the ball deflected his leg onto Grealish's thigh and could have been really nasty that, but at the end of the day, all's done and dusted now, and Italy played well on the night, and you've got to say they deserved to win it, and well done to them on becoming the European champions. For England, they've gained a lot from this tournament. They've done so well. I know they didn't win the final, but they got to the final. I've seen some people saying, well, we haven't really progressed since the World Cup last time. The Euro Championships are smaller than the World Cup. Surely we should be winning it. Well, it's not really as simple as that, is it? If you think about the World Cup, outside of Europe, there aren't that many threats, are there really? Apart from maybe Brazil and Argentina. I can't think of any off the top of my head. There might, Japan, you probably could argue, but I don't think they're up to that top level. Mainly Argentina and Brazil and the European teams are the best teams in the world at football. But they've got to take heart from the performances of the England lads, and I'm sure that Gareth will have them up and ready for that. Presuming he's still in charge at that point, he's suggested that he will be, although he's not prepared to commit his future beyond that point. But he's done a good job as the lad. As far as some of the other events that occurred at Wembley, I don't really want to go into them too much detail. The scenes before the game were absolutely disgraceful. Those idiots that were trying to break into the stadium caused a lot of damage. And then you've got the instance where people like Harry Maguire's dad's got suspected broken ribs, and Lando Norris got mugged in the car park for his McLaren watch after the match. Stuff like that. They're just the ones we know about. What else? Other people you don't know about who've got injuries and sort of like psychological damage after some of these people just doing stupid stuff. Then obviously we've had all the racial abuse as well, disgraceful racial abuse, and the damage to the mural of Marcus Rashford. And what kind of psychological damage will it do to young Bukayo Saka? He's only 19, bless him. But he seems quite mature for that age, and hopefully he'll get over it. And he's got a lot of support, all three of him. Rashford, Sancho, and Bukayo have all got support of the majority of the country behind them. So good luck to them for the future. I'm sure they'll get over it in time, but it's just a horrible thing they've had to go through. I've made my thoughts clear on it elsewhere, so I won't go into any more detail. But all I can say is, going forward, come on England. I'm not really going to talk about much of a football this week because there's not really a lot happening with Halifax or anything like that. We've got most of the teams from last season signed up again. We've signed 3 or 4 new players, but we're getting to the point now where the team go back into training on Saturday, I believe, and they're going to look at some trialists in the friendlies. I know they've got friendlies coming up against, I think one of them's Carlisle at the end of the month. Take some trialists on board and maybe look at signing some of those. We have got some gaps still in the squad, but I think we've got 16 players signed up already for this season. So I'll keep you to date on those, what's happening with the Halifax team as the season approaches, any new signings we get, any more news that comes out regarding the club before the season starts on the 21st of August against Maidenhead at home, and then obviously the first TV game on BT Sport away to Yeovil on the 4th of September. Right, I'm going to talk about cricket, and we'll start looking at Halifax Cricket League's Premier League games from last weekend. With regards to the results from last weekend, first of all, starting with Bradshaw, it wasn't the result they were looking for. It wasn't a good outcome. They played Thornton, and they made Thornton made 57 for 4 in their innings. To gain 11 points. So Bradshaw scored 224 for 9, getting 4 points. For Thornton, Josh Hutchinson's been in really good form this season. He's got 4 centuries now. He scored 108 not out on Saturday against Bradshaw. He's really knocking the runs up. I looked at the stats. I think he's scored more than 700 runs already this season, so he's doing really well. With regards to the rest of the performances in that innings, Ben King also scored 55. The only bowling of note was from Cy Collins, who took a couple of wickets for Bradshaw. And when it came to the batting, there were some good performances from Bradshaw. We got Chris Shani scored 64. Charlie Holt Conway chipped in with 47, and Cy Collins chipped in with 33 not out. So Cy had a decent game all round really, but it wouldn't be the result that he or the team were looking for, and they'll be hoping to pick themselves up again this weekend. With regards to the Thornton bowling there, Josh Hutchinson featured again. He took 3 wickets alongside Weatherhead. He also got 3 wickets, so Thornton will be happy with that result. Elsewhere, Sorbybridge went down to a very heavy defeat. They only picked up 2 points from their game against Triangle. Triangle got 12 points. Triangle scored 310 for 8 in their 45 overs. And looking at the Triangle scores from that innings, we've got Adam Stocks, his 3rd century this season. He scored 105, and Carl Fletcher chipped in with 89. So 2 very good scores there. With regards to the bowling, 4 of the Sorbybridge bowlers all picked up 2 wickets each. When it came to the batting side of it, this will be a bit of disappointing to Steve and Andy and the boys all involved at Sorbybridge. 72 all out in 13 and a half overs. Only 3 players reached double figures there. And for Triangle, there were 5 wickets each there for Zach Rushton. And also, let me just have a look at my notes, Curtis Whippy took 5 wickets as well. So they're the 2 players that did the damage in a very short space of time. So disappointing results for those 2 teams there. In the other games last weekend, Blackley got the better of Illingworth St Mary's. Illingworth St Mary's made 200 for 9, and Blackley got the target of 201 for 8. So 11 points to Blackley, 5 to Illingworth St Mary's. SBCI beat Myvenroyd by 4 wickets in their game. Copley dismantled Shelford North Arm Hedgetop. Shelford North Arm Hedgetop 87 all out. Copley winning by 10 wickets. They knocked off a target of 9-2 without losing any wickets at all. That was it for last Saturday. Looking forward to this Saturday, and Bradshaw will be looking to get back to winning ways with a home match against Triangle. Now that won't be easy, although the form has not been so good recently. Triangle's form's also been a little bit mixed as well. Copley at home to Blackley. Illingworth St Mary's at home to Thornton. Myvenroyd plays Shelford North Arm Hedgetop. Sorbybridge at home to Worley, and again Sorbybridge, I'm sure the guys behind the scenes will be trying to get the lads back in the right frame of mind, looking for a victory to pick up. They've struggled recently, but they'll be looking to pick up and get some points on the board to move up the table, same as Bradshaw really. And then the last game on Saturday is SBCI at home to Booth. So the forecasts are really good for this weekend, so I'm expecting all the games to get played to the conclusion. So we'll be back next week on that bit to let you know how they went on. Like I say, good luck to the guys at Bradshaw and also at Sorbybridge. Chins up and keep fighting and get those points on the board. Moving away now to talk about Yorkshire, and Yorkshire have qualified for the Division 1 in the next stage of the county championship. We just played out a draw, an aborted draw with Lancashire. The weather interfered quite largely there, plus an injury towards the end of the match caused some damage to the pitch, which meant the rest of the game wasn't played. Leach, the spinner I think it is, got injured. Lancashire scored 411 for 2. Yorkshire didn't bat at all, but the points they took from that game mean that Lancashire finished at the top of the table by I think 1 point. I think 150 against 149, something like that. But both teams have qualified for Division 1 in the next stage of the county championship, and they'll be joined at the next stage by Somerset, Hampshire, Warwickshire and Nottinghamshire. Basically what happens now is all the teams that have qualified for Division 1 take half the points through from the games they've already played at the group stage, and then the teams like Yorkshire play everybody but Lancashire, and Lancashire will play everybody but Yorkshire, and then whoever finishes top of Division 1 will be the county champions for this season. Slightly different format, quite an interesting one. I'm sure people have different views on what they feel about it, and if you've got any comments about that format, leave them below in the comments. I'm interested to see what people think about how it's been done this year. COVID obviously had a big effect on it last year, and in terms of crowds and the formats, maybe this year it's affected as well, so let us know your thoughts on that. Talk about England now. England have completed a 3-0 whitewash in the ODI series against Pakistan. We're basically a third choice team after most of the team were deemed to be unavailable due to COVID, due to close contacts with people that have been tested positive for it. I've got to say I watched two out of the three games and a little bit of the other one as well. And I was very impressed with the performance, especially of Saki Mahmood and also Lewis Gregory, who was exceptional. Thought he made a good contribution with both the bat and the ball, and he's in the squad actually for the T20s, which start Friday evening, tomorrow evening against Pakistan. I'm sure he'll be looking to make his mark. I think Sakib's in the squad as well. Two or three of them. David Milan's in it, and there's one of the others that played in these games that are also in the squad. So chance for them to stake to a claim for the T20 World Cup later in the year. So we'll see how they get on. Elsewhere in the world, West Indies lost last night in the T20 game against Australia, but they were 3-0 up in the series anyway. So Australia pulled it back they won by 4 runs, pulled it back to 3-1 in the series. I watched a little bit of that. It's quite entertaining. So Hayden Walsh Jr. is the name to watch there for the West Indies. I think the bowling he were on a hat trick at one point. He bowled a terrible ball and conceded a 4, but performed really well otherwise. And he's got 10 or 11 wickets so far in the series, so he's doing really well. So like I say, he's one to watch, I think, for England when they come up against West Indies later in the year in the T20 World Cup. I think that's about it. One other thing for cricket is the World Test Championship. The next cycle starts with the first test between England and India at the start of August. So I can't remember exactly what they've done, but they've simplified the scoring format. So every game you score so many points for a win, so many for a draw. You don't get anything if you lose, as far as I remember. Don't forget also that the 100 starts midweek next week. The first match is on Wednesday evening. It's a ladies' match, and I think it's at the Oval. I think it's Oval Invincibles. I can't remember who they're playing, but that's the first match in the tournament. And the first men's match is on Thursday. Just to mention the ladies as well. The ladies won the multi-format series against India. Again, I watched the last match last night. Superb performance with the bat from Danny Wyatt, seeing England home comfortably in the end. It was set a target of 154 and they achieved it with a loss, I think, just 2 wickets. So they did well. Danny Wyatt scored, I think, 89. She batted really well, so well done to the team there on beating India. Okay, moving on from cricket now, and we're going to talk about golf. The Open Championships underway. We've had the first round already today, and after the first round, Louis Oosthuizen is in front. He's 6 under par. Some of the other big hitters are just a little bit behind. Dustin Johnson, I believe, is 2 under par. Rory McIlroy is on level par at the end of his round. Big loser today was Phil Mickelson, who's 10 over par and he's going to be struggling to make the cut. The weather seems set fair, so there's nothing to say that it won't be a great tournament. I'm not massively into golf, but I know it's important to people who play it a lot and watch and analyse the shots and the strokes, and I've got friends who are there, so people like Steve Hobson, who's there, enjoy your time at the golf. And let's hope that the best man will win, and hopefully it'll be an Englishman. I'm not confident. An Englishman hasn't won for several years now. I don't know, but Justin Rose possibly the last winner Englishman. I know Darren Clark from Northern Ireland, he won it at this course at St George's, Sandwich, last time. So, let's hope one of the English lads can win it. Next we're going to talk about the Rugby League Challenge Cup, which is this week, and the final is this weekend, and it's Castleford versus St Helens. Now you might think Castleford, they got hammered at home in the league on Sunday by 18 points to 70, but they rested most of the team. My friend's a Castleford fan and said they played 5 academy players. Whether that's right or wrong, I won't discuss that here, but if people have any comments about whether they think it's right or wrong, they can make their comments below. Needless to say, I'm sure they'll put up a stronger performance against St Helens, and we'll need to, because St Helens are a very strong team. My personal view is I'd like Castleford to win, but I can only see really St Helens winning it. It's also the 1895 Cup final this weekend, but that game is in some doubt at the moment due to positive COVID tests amongst the Featherstone squad. We're due to play York at Wembley. I think it's before the actual final itself. I think the back-to-back games, more or less, but the game may not. I think it's going to be confirmed tomorrow whether the game goes ahead or not, so keep your eyes on the press to see if that game actually goes ahead or not. In terms of the championship, Halifax obviously don't have a game this weekend because of the Wembley weekend. They're back in action next weekend away to Sheffield Eagles, and we've got the big one the following Sunday, the 1st of August, at home to Bradford Bulls. So that'll be a big one because they're both performing very well, and Halifax have had a good season since the initial sort of hiatus, or should I say hiccups at the start. Have gone really well. It was a tough. They beat Whitehaven 14-4 on Sunday. But Ben Bruce went to that game and said that he never felt Halifax were going to lose, but we weren't quite at the best. And Whitehaven were very methodical and did all the basic stuff very well. So I think that's a fair summary of what happened. Okay, moving on from rugby league now, we'll talk about the Formula 1 motor racing. It's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone on Sunday. Got the new format for the qualifying on Saturday, the sprint race. I won't be able to watch it because I'll be out, but I'll be interested to see what it's like actually, because it sounds like it might be more interesting than normal practice sessions. This season, Mercedes have struggled somewhat. Red Bull seems to be running riot at the moment, and Max Verstappen is looking like a good shout for the championship. You can never count Hamilton out, and he obviously wants to win at Silverstone in front of his home crowd. But Verstappen and the Red Bull team are doing really well. Keep your eye out for Lando Norris as well, and obviously George Russell. They're the British drivers involved as well as Lewis. So let's cheer the boys on. Hope we can do Britain proud. Moving on from the Formula 1, and now we'll talk about stock cars. This weekend sees two meetings back to back. Saturday at Odsal Stadium, Bradford. Sunday afternoon, Sheffield at Allerton Stadium. They're both World Championship qualifying rounds. The last two qualifying rounds to count towards the grids for the semi-finals of this year's World Championships, the first of which takes place at Kings Lynn on the 31st of July. I think Tom Harris is guaranteed a front row spot already. He's miles in front in the qualifiers. I think you can say the same of Matt Newson as well. They probably want to add to the total at the weekend, but it's not as crucial for them as it is some of the other drivers. And that's possibly why you'll see some drivers booked into race this weekend it wouldn't normally see appearing at tracks like Odsal and Sheffield, but the more the merrier. I think the last booking count was 58 cars for Saturday night at Odsal and 51 for Sheffield on Sunday afternoon, so they're good turnout. So weather's going to be nice. Hopefully we'll get some good racing. Don't forget the Formula 2s are also racing their qualifying round on Saturday night at Bradford. Are also on Sunday at Sheffield as well. I'm not sure if that is a qualifying round as well, but Saturday definitely is. So hopefully that'll be an enjoyable occasion. Next we're going to look at Speedway. This evening Bellevue have been beaten at home by Wolverhampton by 40 points to 50. Disappointing result for the Aces. Sounded like Wolverhampton were on good form, gating well. Sam Masters scored 13 in the bonus using his Polish engine. It sounds like it gave him quite a bit of an advantage, although he didn't get his maximum because he got beaten in Heat 15. I think possibly looking at scores by Charles Wright. But Dan Bewley started well but faded out. Good performances from Charles Wright, as I already mentioned, for Bellevue. He was the top scorer with 10, and Jai Everidge also chipped in with 10. But disappointing performances from Steve Worrell and Richie Worrell, when they managed 5 or 6 points. I think they got 2 and 3 or something like that. For Wolves, like I've already mentioned, Masters got 13 in the bonus, and we've got 9 from Luke Becker, 9 from Schlein, also 8 from Brock Nickel. It's one of his best performances this season, so good all-round team performance. So I wasn't there, but maybe Richard or Donna could comment on exactly what happened. It sounded like Wolves was gated a lot, and there were some good races, but mainly it were gating. The only problem with Speedway on hot days, we try to water the track, so at the beginning of the meeting it'll be really wet and difficult to pass, and as it slickens off we just have to gate and there's no passing. It can be a bit dull, but you don't even under those circumstances you normally get some good races at the National Speedway Stadium, so it'll be interesting to see if they've got any comments on it. In the other match tonight, Sheffield beat Kings Lynn by 46 points to 44. Adam Ellis top scored for Sheffield. Jack Holder was missing with injury, and they got Danny King as a guest. He scored 8. Kings Lynn, that's a good result for Kings Lynn, really. I think Chris Harris was the top scorer with 10, but they've had a really poor season so far, and they're looking like they're going to finish bottom. They've only scored 3 points so far all season. As far as the league table's concerned, Wolves are still third, Bellevue are second, and Peterborough at the top. I think Peterborough got 22, Bellevue have got 19, and Wolves got 17. Ipswich have got 15, but have ridden 12 meetings, whereas Bellevue and Wolves have only ridden like 8 and 7. So you've got to say those 3 teams are probably going to be the 3 teams at the top are likely to be in the playoffs, and it's going to be a battle between Ipswich and Sheffield for the final playoff place, I would think. We've still got quite a long way to go yet in that respect. So that's the Speedway news. And then one other thing before we go is that the Olympics starts next Friday. The opening ceremony. I'm sure it'll be a very strange occasion because there's a lot of effort going to those opening ceremonies, and the choreography and stuff like that. But there's nobody in the stadium. There's going to be no fans there, so it'll be really strange. All the effort they put into it. Whether they shorten it, I don't know. I saw something today saying that the England ladies football team have had a good warm-up victory yesterday, and not England, sorry, Great Britain, because they aren't England, because they're going to have 3 joint captains as well. They're going to have Steph Houghton, Kim Little, and I think the other girl's called, it's Sophie Ingle, she's Welsh, so you've got the English, Welsh and Irish, English and Scotsman and Welshman, Welsh women even, so you could probably get a joke out of that somewhere. But anyway, so I'll probably watch some of the women's football. It's normally alright to watch in the Olympics. Obviously, there's the men's team will take the lead. I've said as well. I'm not going to get involved in the politics behind that, but they are going to do that. I've chosen to do that. But then again, there'll be no fans in the stadium, so they won't get booed, will they? That's one thing about it. So, yeah, the Olympics starts next week. One of the events that's new this time is climbing. And I actually watched a World Cup climbing event the other night, the highlights of it on BT Sport. And I've got to say I wasn't impressed. It was very, shall we say, Americanized. There were people climbing up walls, and it weren't really. They were jumping off onto the like mats on the floor and like give cupping the rate at crowd, a bit like Hulk Hogan would do in WWE. And we're only climbing a few feet off the ground by the looks of it. It looked rubbish, to be honest with you. I was thinking it'd be proper climbing where you've got to climb from a mountain somewhere in Japan, but it's not quite like that. So, but you won't catch me doing it because I don't like heights. Anyway, so I think that's about it for this week. Sorry if I've rambled on a bit, but there's been plenty to cover and there's plenty of sport going on. So hope you've all enjoyed this week's podcast as normal, and I'll be back with an update on all the world of sport next Friday probably. So until then, have a good week or good weekend, etc. And bye for now.